you guys talk about that a little bit. I'm sorry I had to take my hat off. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that.
Well, first of all, Kenyatta, blessings to you for having a relationship with your dad and on his birthday and his passing. And yes, we've both been through that a lot over the last few years too. Well, I think what happens is a lot of times we feel that if we share our feelings, it's going to make somebody else feel bad, so we want to keep it trapped inside. Or maybe we got a history of not being listened to with our feelings,
or being punished,
for sharing
a feeling. So
yeah, because I know when I was a kid, there were certain feelings you could share, but I grew up in a kind of a rough and tumble neighborhood where if you were a boy, you didn't want to show tears. Ever.
Right,
And because I remember one time I got hit in the head with a baseball on the sand lot across from our house, and I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, and I started crying because it hurt so bad. And I remember my brother, who was older than I was, grabbed me by the shoulders and kind of walked me off the field, saying, "No, don't do that. Don't do, put that inside, man." And there's a lot of that goes on, I think, where we get shamed and framed for having certain emotions when we're growing up. And I think what we need to do as adults, actually, strangely enough, is unlearn a lot of the relationship things that we got taught as kids. Because I grew up in the 50s, in the John Wayne era where nobody was supposed to, men were the strong, silent type.
And women were devoted.
Women were shy and shrinking, and we had to protect them, And these days, if you try some of that mood, you'll get your face slapped, And somebody will say, "I don't need your support."
No.
So it's a whole different world now. And you have to learn. I always say, too, that you have one personality that will get you up to about 35 or 40 years old, but you got to grow another one to get you from 40 to 80 or from 40 to 90. Because a lot of the things you learn growing up are the exact opposite of things you need to know to grow up, to succeed as a grown up. And, I have another book called The Big Leap, and it's got a central premise in it called the upper limit problem, where a lot of people keep running up against the same upper limit. They start to be successful and then something knocks them back down, or they catch a break and then they catch a negative break. And so they kind of keep bumping up against something. And we all need to look at what that is, because most of the time it's an internal belief. There certainly are societal things that go on that limit our potential, but you got to go with that inner thing first, because it's hard to change society as quickly as you can change your own attitude about what's possible for your life.
I noticed Chick's been smiling a lot. So, Chick, what is there something resonating with you?
What I'm picking up, which is really, really cool, is with Katie and Gabe, you guys are so locked into each other. You sound like one person.
Oh, thank you. Well, that
people say we're beginning to look alike too. I don't see it myself.
And some people often call us Gatey. They try to say it comes out Gatey. So we're sort of, instead of J-Lo, we're Gatey.
Yeah, after you've been on Oprah a few times, people feel free to stop you on the street and tell you their entire relationship history.
It's true. But Floyd, I wanted to come back for a minute to this very important thing that you were talking about how can we be with each other in the midst of pain? And there's so much pain and grief that has been unacknowledged from even just the last year, and not to mention the last 5 years or the last 400 years. And what I found that is the most friendly is for me to get really, really basic, giving attention to a body sensation. Like I feel tight in my shoulders. And then just letting myself notice that gives me a sense of presence with what's going on right now. Because what we usually do is we flee up into our heads to try and figure it out, to try and improve it or get rid of it or figure out what the issue is. And what really contributes the most is presence, is
Just
being with it. We think, oh, that's so simple. How could that possibly make a difference? But I think it's really the only thing that makes a difference is the communication of, I'm with me and I'm with you. I can be with this, because even if you're experiencing a lot of grief, I can be with that, and I can help create a bridge where you can be with that more without having to figure it out or figure out whose fault it is. So I think that just starting really basic is very helpful.
Wow. Mama Noise, I see, I know that look. Is it something you're thinking?
I mean, it's so much. I mean, I'm over here scribbling notes, and I just thought that was just so profound that, because Lloyd was like, what's going on? And I was like, I felt like if I divulge what I'm feeling, it's going to influence everybody's day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I knew what yesterday was. I knew it before yesterday came. I knew the next day was going to be. But this was the first birthday of my father's passing that I didn't get to tell him happy birthday.
Yes.
And so that was weighty to me.
Yes.
And Lloyd's like, oh man, he starts beating himself up because he's like, I can't believe I forgot.
No, yeah. But you know what? One of the things I wanted her to understand is that I want my day interrupted like that. Like if you're feeling that, I want my day interrupted because I want us to always be in alignment, and I want us to always be on the, to use the cliche, the same page. But so if you're off, I know when you're off.
Yeah.
And we need to work on figuring out how to get that balance back. And man, you know what? I felt like we got, I don't know, it's weird to say, but we got closer because I've lost my mom too. So now I've lost my mom and my dad. So now it's like we understand we have something that we didn't have years ago, which is, it's a sucky club to belong to, but, but we will belong to this club. And so it was good to have that healing moment, I think, or at least I thought it was. It felt like it was anyway.
Oh, totally. Those kinds of moments create such a deep sense of intimacy and connection. And they also fill your emotional reservoir because you can be with each other with whatever is going on. And if one of you is having difficulty, you can draw on that emotional reservoir.
Yeah.
Can I share something?
Absolutely, Chick Streetman.
Sort of on this topic, because I don't know, Katie and Gay, you know that I have this album dropping today, and the very last song on the album was written because my mom passed away 2 or 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And she had gone into hospice, and her hearing had gone, and she couldn't talk very well. So she was laying in the bed, and I went back to Boston, and I sat on the bed next to her, and I could just see that she just wanted to go, and I couldn't say to her, Mom, just go. It's all right. Just go. Because she couldn't hear. And so I was just sitting there trying to convey this to her with my feeling, with my presence, just like you're saying, just being there in the moment.
Yeah.
And then she got it. And then next day she rose up and flew away. And I found myself telling this story to a lot of my friends, and I said, I need to write a song about this. Because the moment was just, so that's the very last song on the album is called Thankful.
Oh, thankful.
Goosebumps.
Moment.
Yeah, I got a question for you guys, Chick and Katie and Gay. My mom passed quite a while back, and I didn't grieve her, but I didn't have permission to grieve. I didn't. Nobody around me, especially the people really close to me, every time I would, voice how I was feeling, they would say, "Oh, she's with God, and don't worry about that." And it even became like I was weak for, and so I never dealt with it. So now sometimes even when I'm at home, I get this real heaviness. And I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you share that,
Oh.
because that's how grief gets locked in, and we carry it off because, we start to communicate our sadness to somebody and they say, don't worry, she's in a better place now. So you sort of
So you're
feel
like,
embarrassed that you even had the grief, And so I'm glad you're onto that problem, though, because the only solution is to actually feel it, be with it, honor it, to actually, like it says in the Bible, honoring your father and mother means also to honor your feelings about them, whatever they are. And that's just part of the paying them honor process.
Wow.
Is your mom, is there a grave or that you could go to?
Yeah.
Well, one suggestion is that you go and you express to your mom there everything that you've been feeling, so that you are not holding it inside. You let it out into the air, or you share it directly with her.
I feel that acutely, because I did that with my own mother. I live in California and she lived in Florida. And so when my brother and I got notified that she had gone to the hospital, neither one of us were able to get to Florida in time for her actual passing, which left a big hole in my heart. But we were there for the funeral and all the arrangements and everything. But I remember afterwards going out to her gravesite and just being there and communicating with her the extent of my love and grief, and just being right there in the presence, where my dad is also buried too, and my grandparents. It was a very powerful experience. So I highly recommend taking a morning or an afternoon if you can do that.
Gabe,
There's also,
Yeah.
I want to say that, like, when I was sitting on the bed with my mom and she was going and I was trying to communicate with her, she knew what I was feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
She knew that. And I want you to say to you, Sheikh, that I know your mom knew what you were feeling. And it's important to trust that.
Yes.
should we be giving our friends, family, whatever, the permission to grieve? And what I mean by that is, should we be saying to them in the moments like this? Because some people, what I found out going through the experience myself, people don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. And so I was thankful that I did run into one gentleman who said, no, I give you permission to allow your heart to grieve and to bleed and to feel and to emote. And Sheikh, I apologize because I didn't know. We've been friends for almost 30 years, and I didn't know that you were going through that. And I would have, man, as a friend, I would have said to you, man, please emote, grieve, let it out, because you can't live like that. You can't live like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's another example. Yeah, I think it's just another example of how we've been programmed wrong. Even with our relationships, and I haven't had an opportunity. I apologize. I haven't gotten my hands on the full book, Conscious Living. I've seen snippets, but even in our relations, we're programmed. Oh, it's 50-50, 50-50.
Yeah.
And we got to get past 50-50.
Yes.
And because every time Gay says something, Katie looks at him like, like a schoolgirl, like, oh,
The love in their eyes.
right. Every time he speaks, and we got to get past 50-50 to get to that conscious. She's so aware of her that she can admire every moment with Gay, and vice versa. So we've been programmed bad for so long.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest hurdle. Like with Sheikh, he was unfortunately programmed that mama's in a better place. Stop all that crying. Ain't no need to cry.
Or be strong.
Right.
I can't count the number of times I got told something like, don't cry, or what do you got to cry about, when you're a kid. And so I think that's one of the big things about being a grown-up, is coming into kind of the wholeness of yourself and learning to accept all of your feelings, because at the same time, you can never love another person unless you've learned to love yourself. To learn to honor and love yourself is a key part of honoring and loving another person. And I always say relationships grow 10 seconds at a time. It's the 10 seconds it takes to say, I love you. I'm
Mhm.
absolutely blown away that I get to be married to you. You know, that's 10 seconds, but it's a communication that comes from the heart, and it's the kind of thing that lands in the heart.
And I think that,
Go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, I think that
Good.
for me, I think what you guys are saying so much profound, prophetic. So the things that you are saying is because I wasn't at my dad's funeral.
Yeah.
We were in the pandemic,
Right.
and I didn't go.
Right.
So I didn't have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't get to go to the cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When those waves come up, that what we encourage people to do is just ride the wave. So your feeling is really sacred.
Mhm.
And so letting that just come through, and as a friend or companion, to simply breathe. So what I'm doing is breathing and feeling what I'm feeling, and then I'm giving attention to you and appreciating what you're experiencing. And that flow is really all that's needed. We don't need to fix anything. We don't need to say, you should do something else.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think I've noticed men, and I used to do this myself. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I used to be very uncomfortable when women got into feelings, and it used to bring up this urge for me to fix them. and the more I tried to fix them, the more they got peeved at me for trying to fix them. Because I remember one of them finally, this was in my pre-Katie years, one of them said, "I don't need to be fixed. I just need to be heard."
Yeah.
Oh. I had not realized that, because if somebody told me they had some problem, I needed to fix it. And yet most of the things in life don't need to be fixed. They just need to be listened to and breathed with and honored, just like we can honor Kenyeta's feelings, because we've all been there.
But I think the problem, my struggle sometimes is that my parents were military.
Mm-hmm.
So no emotion was normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Flat.
So to just continue to, I always call it throwing in the back of the box of your mind, is the solution to handling things like death.
Right. Well, the problem with that is it doesn't go anywhere.
I remember.
It goes into your body and creates stress and can actually create illness, and it definitely creates disconnection between you and the people that you love. And so we've really found that when something happens, that I turn and I face it, I interact with it, I communicate about it, and then that adds to my aliveness, so that there's nothing that we experience that needs to be hidden. And that's one of the things I so appreciate about our lives together now, is that I am completely unedited. I can say whatever I'm thinking or feeling and have that received. And I love hearing what's going on for you and discovering together. So it's a completely different kind of orientation that then we learned, was like you capture your mate, and then you kind of keep the mystery there by withholding things. And it's just more of the nonsense that we've gotten taught. Whereas the free flow of sharing with each other creates so much connection and juiciness. Even, when on the heels of grief, I always find that I just have more space inside.
You guys are doing something for me right now that I needed. I didn't expect this today at all, because we were going to go a different route. But I carry, and it just kind of revealed itself while we were talking. I carry a little bit of guilt, not even a little bit, a lot of guilt to the moment, to her not being able to go see her dad. And it's kind of a weird thing, because you guys, and Gay and Katie, you aren't aware of this, but the weekend that her dad died on a Friday, and she just had a weird feeling. And it was more centered around the pandemic than anything. She was like, "I just don't think we need to go. I know." And I'm saying, "But that's your dad. We got to figure it out." And the very next morning, my dad had a massive heart attack and died.
Wow.
So but I carry a guilt with me that he died, because it almost feels like it's hard to even explain, but it's almost like I feel a selfishness that I had to grieve in the midst of her grief. And I didn't give her the opportunity to grieve.
You're
I
both
didn't realize it until I just heard her and I'm listening to you guys and I'm saying, man, I gotta figure this out because I don't know how to shake that.
Yeah, the only way to shake it is to feel it and communicate it, just like you're doing. And that's really the healing move. A famous doctor once said that the secret of health is circulation. And you can apply that to communication circulation as well, keeping the flow of circulation, communication going in the relationship. I was starting to share a moment ago a memory of going to my grandmother's funeral. My grandmother and I were very close, and I was very emotionally shook up by this. She died when I was 21 years old. And so fortunately, I was able to be there for it. But I remember after the funeral, something just struck me so much as a pattern in my family. People flocked to my grandparents' house after the funeral, and I'd never seen 20 people eat like that in their lives. It was like a horde of locusts. You know, 'cause people had brought tons of food. My grandmother was very widely known in the community, and so she'd been one of the founders of the town. And so people just turned out, and we had so many casseroles, we had to open up a whole separate room for them. And people respond to their feelings a lot by eating instead of communicating, instead of, dealing with those things.
Or getting really busy.
Yeah, I'd never really seen it before until that day.
Yeah, we must have never been a black funeral then, because that's what we do, man. I mean, I look forward to the dinner at the funeral, man. I mean, it's gonna be on.
And to that point, Shake, you're right, because we don't know what to say, and we don't know what to do, and we don't know how to process it. And so eating is our way of getting through it. We create these lavish and massive meals, and that gives us a space to laugh and a space to reminisce, but in what. And maybe it's healthy, I don't know, but it's in what we feel like is a healthier space, but it doesn't deal with the grief at all. It just kind of pushes it to the side so that we can get through the moment. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
What we notice too with grieving, and I imagine that you have also, is that it comes in waves.
Yes.
And it can just come out of the blue. You're just going along doing your life, and then wham, something, a smell or something that you see, brings it all forward again. And what people often do then is kind of suck it up, like it's inappropriate for me to be feeling this right now. And what I think the biggest service that we can give to ourselves and others is to just simply feel it as it's arising, because it will come through. And if you don't let it come through, it tends to get you clogged up. And so every time just like you did, Kenya, just letting it come through, and we can be with that. And that's really all that's required. And so for each of us, am I willing to let you experience what you're experiencing? Or am I going to try and stop it or control it? So if I am like, what happens for me is the feeling of I'm with you. I'm with you. I can see that you're feeling grief, and I'm with you. I'm here. And that's often really the only thing that a person needs, is just knowing that they're not on their own.
Is that true for the spouse? And I know I got a friend that's watching right now, because I've been getting texts all through the conversation. And so is that true also for the spouse who doesn't understand that? Like they have not experienced this, but they're walking alongside. What would you tell them that they need to do? Because I love the contrast of co-commitment and codependency. And this feels like one of those moments. So you guys can kind of,
If you're in a codependent relationship, you're always trying to keep your partner from feeling things. You're trying to keep them from telling the truth about who they are because you're trying to control them. The essence of a codependence relationship is control, trying to control the other person. we're after a kind of a freedom that comes from co-commitment, where both people agree to, okay, let's agree that both of us from now on are going to speak honestly about our feelings. So that was an agreement we made early in our relationship. And we didn't always keep it, but we kept coming back to it. We had to recommit.
Yeah.
Because recommitment is just as important as commitment.
It's probably more important.
You have to keep choosing it over and over again.
Yeah.
And we also, one of the most destructive things in relationships is blame and criticism. And we both decided we want to create a relationship that has zero blame and criticism in it. And so we put ourselves on a blame and criticism diet. And it took us years to get out of the habit, but eventually we did, and so now nobody's said a blameful word to the other person in 20 or 30 years. And I mean, it's pretty amazing.
It's a lot of open space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how we get so many books written and things. We don't sit here grinding away on each other. We've written 10 or 12 books together without a crossword between us.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And directly to your question for the spouse, what was just coming to me is the most important thing that you can do is breathe. And you would think, oh, this can't be, but I guarantee you that whenever you're trying to control how you're responding, you stop breathing. So if you just focus on letting your belly relax and breathe, then you're present. Because when you're holding your breath, your spouse is going to know you're not there. And that, just adds to the stress. So if you put your attention on your own flow, your own circulation and breathe, then your partner will receive that. Oh, he or she, they're with me.
Well, I think that what the mistake I made when we first got married is when Lloyd's his grandfather passed away, then his brother, then his mother, and I had not had anybody pass away like that in my life. So I always made the mistake of thinking he needed space or distance. And it only fortified the wedge between us, because I'm thinking that's what he needs in order for him to, get through the grieving process. But that was the biggest mistake I ever could have made, because if nothing else, he needed me more now during that process than he did, than needing space.
Yeah.
Yes, but fortunately, all of those, you can recommit, you can open up to sharing. So those are not permanent mistakes. Those are something to learn from, because, stuff's going to happen.
That's the best way to see relationships too, as a learning process. That I come in with stuff I need to learn. Your partner comes in with stuff that he or she needs to learn, and you hopefully make an agreement to learn them together. If you can say, hey, okay, let's open up and learn what we need to learn to have this flow in our relationship. That gets you started, because then you've got both partners kind of looking in the same direction and organized around the same kind of goal.
But I think that's what was so key when I was we love the audio books around here. I love to be able to pause and then talk about it and pause and play it back. I love that. And that microscopic truth.
Yes.
Was like, whoa. I was like, pause, I'm going downstairs. Lloyd, I need to ask you for a microscopic truth. And they said that that means raw data.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay.
Well, I just got to that point in the book myself, so I was prepared a little bit. But it was a good moment. It was a beautiful moment. I want to add, there's a beautiful question that came in through the chat since we're in this area. It says, how do you grieve? How do you allow yourself to be in the hurt? Which I think is a great question.
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah. But I think Doug needs that question too.
Well, a lot of things that make life good and make relationships work are things that we could have learned in the first or second grade, but we don't get taught them early on. Like, for example, that question about how do you grieve? Well, the first thing, like Katie said, is just to be with your sadness, to honor it, just like you're honoring the person who died. It's it's a process of honoring your feelings first as part of then honoring the whole relationship. And, like when Katie's mother was in a coma for quite a while before she passed away. And it was very difficult because there was nothing we could really do. There's so much of life where you want to do something to relieve another person's pain, but we really couldn't do it. So the only solution is simply to feel it and communicate about it honestly. And that's the secret of grieving and moving it through.
So I also, being with it means giving yourself curious attention and letting it land. Because very often when we give ourselves attention, it's kind of a bounce off. We go, okay, you're okay, buck up.
Yeah,
but the grieving is really holding yourself with your attention and then letting yourself feel what you're feeling as those waves come through. And then I also think it's really valuable to find some way of turning that into creative expression, whether that's, journaling or sharing what you're experiencing with a friend, or gathering some pictures that you really like and having a little place in your house where you can just go and be with your memories of that person. So when you turn it into creative expression, you're not just trying to handle it all inside. So those things can all be very helpful.
Wow. That's so good. That's so good. And I know, go ahead, Chick.
I wanted to know, maybe this is a little bit offbeat, but how does that relate to connecting with your children? Because at some point, as a father or as a mother, you have to back up and say, okay, son or daughter, you can call the shots now. How do you make those adjustments?
Well, personally, that's one of the toughest things in life is to go from feeling responsible for someone to letting them take responsibility for themselves, because, there's a real trick to that and doing it artfully. But exactly the same principles apply, that a relationship with your beloved, the same things that make that work are the same things that make relationships with kids work. Just that open-hearted microscopic truth about, I'm scared about ... or I felt angry when you did ... or I felt so hurt about ... Communicating those deep things to kids is as important as to a beloved partner. And same thing about taking responsibility. Kids are notoriously poor at taking responsibility.
You may have noticed.
And it even, we used to do a lot of consulting in corporations, and we always used to call this the corporate salute. Like, not my responsibility, that over here. And not me. And that's the corporate salute. But
that's what my brothers and I used to do. Who's responsible for this? And we'd go.
But the serious problem is that in relationships of any kind, whether it's with your kids or with your parents or with your beloved or even workmates at work, they only really work if both people take responsibility for creating the quality of the relationship. And that's a tricky, difficult thing to do with kids. I remember my daughter's teenage years beating my brains out about having her, taking responsibility for things. And she was very much interested in making sure I stayed responsible. Right. She wanted to run her own life, but continue to give me money for it, give her the money for it.
Right. Well, what was occurring to me too is, as you were asking that, is that in addition to all the things that Gay was mentioning, I think it's so important to be asking regularly, what do you want? What do you want? Because that's really an essence question that's inviting the particular unique qualities of the child to come forth. And then what do we need to do for you to be able to get to where you want to go? So that it's not just I'm trying to control you, but I'm creating the conditions in which you can flourish as an adult when you know both how to take responsibility, but also to work toward your own chosen goals. And they really go together.
See, I just feel like everybody needs to go to the Hendricks website and just get everything.
Yeah, sure.
Do that.
Do that.
That way you can straighten all this stuff out.
So can we hear the website? What is the website?
Yes, the big one is Hendricks.com, Hendricks.com. We also have another one for our relationship e-courses that you can take at home. And that website is heartsinharmony.com, heartsinharmony.com.
And we also have a nonprofit, Foundation for Conscious Living.org. And we have dozens of free videos to help you come home to yourself, to restore a kind of resourcefulness if you've been feeling really beaten down, and also to create caring communities. So there's lots of material that can assist you in creating the kind of life you want, but also being in community in new ways.
Katie, what was that again? What was that last one?
Foundation for Conscious Living.
Foundation for Conscious Living. Is it .org or .com?
It's you can get to it from either one, but it's a .org.
Awesome. Listen, there are so many wonderful things that I'm hearing today, and just goodness gracious, y'all just so amazing.
Well, thank you. You guys are too. We really enjoy being with you guys. It always reminds me when I hear your accents too of my Florida upbringing, all those Southern accents down there.
Katie, where are you living now?
We're living in Southern California. We live in the little town called Ojai that's near Santa Barbara, and it's a little north of LA.
I lived in Santa Barbara for many, many years.
Oh, you did?
Oh.
I
graduated from Santa Barbara High School and from UCSB.
Wow, I went to UCSB and also Santa Barbara City College. So.
Oh yeah, well I've taught some classes at City College. So, and back when the educational system in California used to be so fine.
No,
this is like a family reunion.
What year was that, Katie?
Pardon?
What year was that you were at City College?
I taught at City College in the 90s, but I graduated from UCSB in 72.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
you're younger than me.
Probably before your time.
I left UCSB in 70.
Uh-huh.
I went to UC Santa Cruz.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We have a lot of friends up there at Santa Cruz. Yeah, we live in a little mountain valley that's 11 miles from the ocean, so we can get down to the beach if we want to. But it's a sweet place to live.
Absolutely.
Probably easy to write books in an environment like that too.
no question.
Man, this has been wonderful. I know some of you guys are probably wondering why we had a giveaway scheduled for today, and we're just gonna wait till Monday because it's just too much goodness going on to break up that flow. I want to say something to you while I got you here. Man, I apologize, man. You walk around your friend and you think your friend's okay, and then you're not paying attention to the signs. And I guess I missed the signs. So I apologize, man. I never want you to think that I'm not aware of what you're going through.
Well, I don't know.
I try to be anyway.
I don't know that it's that. It's just, you'll know here's the thing I appreciate about you, Lloyd, so much, is I can write a song and you'll call me after you hear it and go, hey man, do we need to talk about something? I know where you know what I'm saying? You'll write it and totally feel it. And so a lot of times that's how I process things instead of, I try not to hold them too close. But the problem is the people close to me don't hear them that way. So I desperately need people like you because I can play those songs and and understand that I'm not trying to be sad. I'm not trying to be down. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just voicing where I am. But the people around me are like, man, can't you write something happy? Can't you do this? Or why you always got to be talking about the problems and all, And so after a while, you don't trust those people around you. And so you stop,
But I think all of us would agree. And Katie, I'd love you to jump in on this. Man, I want you to know you always got permission around me to be sad.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm a safe place for that. And if you want to just call or we sit and you just cry, I'm okay with that because That's you need. If you need, that's what you need. I don't want you bottling up grief. Putting dams on your grief. You don't need that. That doesn't help you.
I like to tell my friends that it's a come as you are party. You're welcome to just feel whatever you're feeling, and we'll go with that.
Yeah, I like that. I'm using that from now on, Katie.
You know, I noticed in the book also that you had lies equals distance and truth equals closer or makes you closer.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, because the moment you seal off speaking honestly to the other person, it creates this distance between you that's filled with fear. Fear. Am I going to be able to tell the truth, or
what's going on?
You know, all those things that happen if you swallow the truth. So, yeah, I always say this is the most important organ in the body, and open this 6 inches here in the throat and let your soul come out.
Wow.
Can I ask Katie and Gabe, can I ask you one question? Are you familiar with the Ojai Foundation?
Sure,
yes, sure. We've taught up there.
Yeah.
I figured you have. So I'm sure we knew a lot of people. Jack Zimmerman.
Sure. From the old days. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ojai is a wonderful place. Got a lot of great people up here.
Yes.
Wow.
Well,
So
go
ahead.
Just the last thing I'll say is,
No, go ahead, brother.
I'm not asking for it. I'm just saying that a lot of things, the only way I've been able to really keep myself from going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs is to literally write songs. And I would write the songs. And even a lot of times, like there's songs that I write now that it's hard for me to sing them live because they still have so much weight to them. It wasn't just a lyric I created that sounded good. It literally was telling a part of my story.
Yeah.
A lot of times, so for me, I mean, like Gay and, there's songs that I sing live, I have to sing them. Like, for example, there's a group I used to tour with, Chicken, you'll appreciate this, a group I used to tour with, and I used to play this song every night that I toured with them for about 6 years. It's a Curtis Mayfield tune. But for me, when I sing it, every time I sing it, it's because I have to. It's not because I want to. There's hope in that lyric that keeps me sane.
Can I speak to that? Can I speak to that? Because my son hit me to that. Because my son is into hip hop and rap music, and he listens to it a lot. And he hit me to the fact, he said, these people, they're telling a story. They're telling their story. This story needs to be heard.
Yeah.
You may not like it. That may not be the kind of music you want to listen to, but that's real stuff. That's stuff that needs to be heard. And your story needs to be heard. You need to express it, need to feel it, and trust that it's real.
Not only is it real, but my sense is, Sheikh, that it is going to touch so many hearts because it's coming from your real experience that, you've shaped, as best you can, but all of the feeling that's behind that, they get it.
I hope that's always my hope, that somebody will understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Even if they don't.
I don't remember.
What's to you to put it out there and to feel it, to express it and let it out.
Yeah.
What's the song called? The Stain?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, when I heard that, I drawled all up and was like, what is going on with him? What has happened? I could feel all of it. I couldn't shake that song when I heard it because I just was like, oh my gosh, clearly this is an outpour. It was just so many things swirling through my mind when I heard that song, and it still does. You just like, you got to brace yourself. I'm not ready.
But see, the thing is, for me, and that song, like, it's hard to sing, but it's important because it's a purge. I literally, when I leave the stage, even if it's in a moment of sadness or whatever, I literally walk off feeling better than I did when I went on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Gay, I know you like that song, People Get Ready, but that's
Like
one
the
of the
Impressions.
songs. What'd you say?
The Impressions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just
Faith used to tour with the Impressions.
Oh, all right.
No. Well, is Shake? Is that the same song by Muddy Wolf and Howlin' Waters?
We'll have to explain that together.
Hilarious.
I don't think they'll
I
know
grew
that.
up on the blues. I
Yeah.
was into the blues from pretty much the time I could breathe. My great hero was Lightning Hopkins.
Same
I,
here.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I traveled.
Yeah.
I traveled once to meet him, and I got to spend an evening with him. It was one of the great nights of my life.
I did a show with him at the Lighthouse in Hermosa Beach.
I wonder, is the Bird Lounge in Houston still open?
I don't know.
He used to perform at the Bird Lounge.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm hopefully make you smile, Shake, because I heard your rendition of People Get Ready, and then while I was working on something, I wasn't able to finish it, but I put just a little. It was just an image that I thought was interesting, so I wanted to surprise all you guys with this. It's just an image that I thought was really interesting when I hear this song. So I'll let you hear a little bit of this.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Just get on board. Hear me now. People, get ready for the train to come. Picking up passengers from coast to coast. All you need is a little faith to hear the D's or humming. Don't need no ticket, just get on board. People, get ready for the train to Jordan. Picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors and board up. There's room for all among those loved the most. I believe, oh, I believe, oh, yeah, I believe, oh, you don't need no ticket to just get on board. Hear me now.
I just thought that was really cool.
Very cool.
I thought that was really cool. I said, I don't know if there's anything I've ever seen that did that song better. Woo. My favorite part is the guy on the very front who's hanging on. But you know what? In context of what we're talking about today, it feels like that sometimes. When you're going through your darkest days, you want a way out.
Yeah.
And if a train of deliverance is coming by, man, you're trying to get on that thing the best way you can. And then sometimes it's holding on for dear life. And so I just thought that was an amazing image. So
That's great.
Yeah, well done.
Well done. Thank you so much.
Good on the song. So
Did you put that together yourself, Shake?
Huh?
Did you put the whole project together yourself?
I didn't do the video. No. Lloyd did the video.
yeah.
Oh, you did the video. Okay.
Yeah.
I just did the song.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That is great.
I did the song specifically for Gay because we promised him.
Oh, that's so great.
We promised him we'd have it when you came back.
Yeah.
That's
So I
right.
just thought that was
Well,
amazing.
next
I was
time-
like, that is an incredible image. I don't know if I can do anything.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing, man.
that just
Dude,
takes it. Yeah.
the train looked like it was getting ready to tip over. There was so many people.
Oh man.
Wow!
But did you see the peace on
Yes.
the people's faces
Yeah.
that were riding?
Oh yeah.
They didn't look like they were worried about anything in the world.
But can you
Yeah.
put it on YouTube? I mean, how can you other people see it?
Oh, yeah, I can do that. I'll send it out on YouTube and put it together. I mean, I got some bells and whistles I want to put with it, and I'll send it out. I'll make sure everybody here gets the link.
I was gonna say he's
Can I
not.
put in my request for next time we're on the
Oh.
show?
Absolutely.
My very favorite song that's my song for Katie is "You're the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me" by Gladys Knight.
I got you.
There
And,
you go.
Also, "Amazing Grace."
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh
I
Lord.
love to hear Shake do his version of "Amazing Grace."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Gay always makes people cry every time he comes.
Every time, man. It's like, well, now and Katie just be tag teaming.
True.
Like they're like a great wrestling. They should be in the WWE with this thing. I mean, amazing. We consider you guys family, man. I tell you, it's always refreshing when you guys come by and just share your wisdom and your love. And now from our previous show, I now truly understand the tears that Gabe was shedding when he talked about you, Katie, because it's man, you guys got something really special. Like you got a couple goals now.
See, now all we need is the cookies.
We do need the cookies though. Now that's true. Mama
I
Noise.
bragged about your cookies, and I also, while I'm on the subject though, you really got to taste her deviled eggs.
What?
Yeah,
I know.
She makes the best deviled eggs, and my grandmother made great deviled eggs. And for me to say that Katie makes better deviled eggs than my grandmother, that's something.
Wow.
But sometime when you're in the neighborhood, you're going to have to come by and taste a deviled egg.
Done. Hey, Chick, I know you got to run. Man, I love you, man. The album again is Left Foot Down. It's out today.
Congratulations.
Chick would love for you to go to what is it, Chick? It's where's it at? I got it. chickman.hearnow.com and go grab it. But it is available wherever you listen to albums, right?
That's right.
So wherever you pick up an album, pick it up and grab it and just let it wash all over you.
Well, I'll tell you, Chick, whoever's doing your marketing as far as your CDs, they're on it, man. Because I literally just typed Chick Street Man, and when I put dot in, everything else came up on its own. So whoever's doing your web programming or whatever, they're on it, man. So that's really awesome because it's a website that you have, right?
It's not, you could get on it as well. It's just hearnow.com.
Yeah.
Just go to hearnow.com and you can set it up and it'll list all of your music.
Thank you, Chick.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me. It was a beautiful experience today. And
Love
Katie,
you, bro.
To meet
Love
you,
you, bro.
I love what you're doing. And this has been an awesome morning.
Awful morning.
Thank you.
Awful nice, you know.
Thank you so
We got
much.
you, brother. We got you, brother.
Great to be with you.
All right.
All right.
And Gay and Katie, thank you guys so much as well. I feel like you guys are like our beautiful auntie and uncle. Like we can just call up and call whenever we need you and be like, hey,
Well, feel free. It's a great joy.
it's good. Now, also, Gay, I'm still holding you to June when the book is released, right?
Right.
Yes,
For
I'll be
sure.
back. June 29th is
Awesome.
the official pub date.
Awesome. Katie, are you gonna come back with them and hang
I
out?
can come back whenever I'm allowed.
You're always welcome.
You have a VIP pass anytime you want.
Oh, thank you.
So come on back anytime you want.
Okay,
You
well,
guys
it'll
are
be
so
a great
beautiful.
pleasure.
And
Okay,
yeah,
we'll be back when Shake works up the songs.
you'll have some time. You got some
You know,
time now.
listen, don't do that because I'll do it every day. But
All right. Well, until we meet again. Mwah.
What book is that? June 29th.
Oh, The Genius Zone. And
What
it
is
can be
The
pre-ordered
Genius
now.
Zone?
Be the first in your neighborhood to get it. Order it today.
Yeah. The
Nice.
change is coming. This is the book we were discussing today, Conscious Loving, The Journey to Co-Commitment. But just go listen. There's not a book that they've written that can't help you. That's the real situation.
So many books.
They're all, go to Hendricks.com, go to Hearts in Harmony, go to Foundations of Conscious Living, and all those books are going to help you. They're geniuses, and that's why Oprah wanted them. Oprah, let's go get them. And so there you go. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Just so you know, I have a new CD coming out on Sonoblast, and that song will be on the CD.
Okay.
Matter of fact, Leap will be on the CD as well.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm going to be using that song. They wrote a song for Big Leap.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I want to talk to you about that one of these days. So we'll connect about the song.
Just let me know.
Awesome. Noisemakers, I know you enjoyed it. I don't even have to ask. Most of you that know me and don't know me have been hitting us up like crazy. And so thank you for hanging out with us. And thank you for also understanding that we'll move the giveaway to next week. It's been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. And God bless each and every one of you. Have a great weekend. All our shows are Saturday. Y'all know what they are. I don't have to remind you. You'll see them pop up on the screen. So love you guys. And Gay and Kate, thanks again for being here with us.
Thanks,
you.
Lloyd.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Daniela. Thanks, Shake.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chick.
We're talking